So welcome everyone to the InSight Law Family Education Program. I am Bobby Fazy, President of InSight Law. I'm an estate and business planning attorney. And today we're going over the InSight Law Family Education Program. We call it Nuts and Bolts 1, an overview of the InSight Law Program. I'll give a minute or two for everyone to get into the Zoom meeting. We've got a lot of attendees today. And a little bit of ground rules. If you have questions, everyone is muted. And because we have a lot of people attending today, please, if you have questions, go ahead and type them in the chat. I will pause throughout the program to give you different chats or answer the questions. And if you want and I may, at the end of the program, I can maybe open it up for some audio questions. And I'll get started in about a minute. If somebody actually, if you all could, if one person could, or anybody could just type in the chat to say that they can hear me, I want to make sure that I'm not talking to myself for an hour and a half here today. All right, very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, we're going to get started. This should be about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, just depending on the issues and questions that we go over. It will be recorded and posted to the website as well. Let me just make sure we don't, everyone. Okay, and then we had some a question about where you have to enter your name regarding with regard to making sure that we have attendance. If you just type it in the chat, that's fine. I know that you've attended and we've got it marked down, so that's fine. Okay, let's get started. So the purpose of the program today is really to familiarize helpers, beneficiaries, and advisors with our program. And to get a little terminology down, I think, our clients, I call them the plan creators. They're the ones who created the plan. And the helpers are the people that, if there's a contingencies that we're planning for, disability or when there's a death, these are the helpers that are coming into play to support the plan. And the beneficiaries are the receivers of the wealth. That's kind of our terminology to be familiar with. And so that's first, is just get familiar with us, because we don't do things like the traditional law firms. We found that those techniques are outdated, and today we'll go through and make sure that you're comfortable with our process. Also, to proactively prepare the helpers to serve the plan creators. Normally the helpers don't know, haven't even heard of a law firm, or have no idea what what to do, what their role is. The goal is to familiarize yourself with that role, so that's not being sprung onto you during a disability or a death situation. And also to help the beneficiaries prepare to plan for maximizing the inheritance the best they can, at least from the legal side. Bonus topic for today, because of the elections and all of the items that are going on or issues that are going on, I'll give a brief overview of what's going on with the tax laws. It's not really part of the typical trustee training, but I get so many people asking me the question, so I'll give you some bullet points towards the end. You don't have to stay around for that if you don't. It's not really typically part of the training program, but I thought it'd be helpful for everybody. Okay, so I think perspective is important before we get started. Perspective in certain environments really can make the difference between a plan that works and a plan that doesn't work. And so I go to different conferences. We we go ahead and analyze different techniques. And I'm an instructor for the National Network of Estate Planning Attorneys. There's about 150 of us across the U.S. And one of the techniques I think that's really valuable, it was written by a lady by the name of Nancy Klein. It's called Time to Think. And one of the main concepts was that there's limiting assumptions that can hurt the plan. And what I mean by limiting assumptions is, from the law firm perspective, when we originally created these trustee training program series, we were focused on, we only thought, hey, we only get one chance to see you, so let's provide as much information as we can in a program. And it was like a data dump. And for those of you who have been with us for a while, you would recall where I would go through each of the steps through a death, what the steps that the law firms follows and the process during a death situation or disability. We definitely have those programs, and we were going to definitely talk about the key items. But what we found was this data dump that would occur, if you've ever heard of the parking lot syndrome, is that I'd ask the clients, how they felt the program was. They said, well, it was really good. I understood everything there, but every step I took towards my car, big chunks of data would fall out, and I would forget everything that I had just learned with regard to that. Every step away from, the conference, and so. We found that was those were good programs, but it wasn't something that was actually practical and that you could use and apply. We definitely have those, and I'll go through and how that works. That's not today. We're going to give you the 911 information today, but that was one of our limiting assumptions. And so from the helpers or the beneficiaries, the receivers of the wealth, the typical limiting assumption is it's a negative experience to talk with the plan creators about death and disability. We would appear greedy, right, if we were going to do that. And one of the classic examples that I like to use for that is we ask the clients to ask the beneficiaries, maybe the kids in situations, what would they, what personal effects would you want? And we have a fancy legal term to explain the different types of personal effects. We call them either your special stuff and your junk, right? And what we were focused on was the special stuff side of things is we asked the clients to go talk to the beneficiaries and what they want, and when death occurred, or when the kids or the beneficiaries would come in, we just said, and I'll be very blunt. You'll find that I'm a very blunt attorney. We say, we know that you said that you didn't want anything when they asked you, and we know you're lying. We know you were lying. and it's because this limiting assumption of, hey, I would appear greedy with regard to that. And just think about that situation, right? Wouldn't it be unnatural if you didn't want some type of personal effect to remember your family by, right? The family member by. And so that's the idea, is let's get those limiting assumptions out of our way, so we can get a plan, so we can just make sure that the plan works. And the way to do that, one technique is to ask these incisive questions. So flip the script is what I call it. And so from the law firm perspective, the way that we look at it, and we have to answer this question, is what will we do if we knew that the helpers and receivers would actually see the benefit of active planning participation, being proactive on it? And from the law firm side of things, then we would structure our education programs differently, so that we wouldn't have to data dump everything in one place, but we have a very dispersed and practical, applicable type of process that people can go to. And then from the helpers and receiver side, what would you do if you knew the plan creators value a smooth transition, and that advanced discussion is key with regard to that? And so that's what we're going to be asking today. So it's not about being greedy. It's about just making sure that the plan works and that we cover the key issues. And so bottom line, we're just trying to make the plan, make it smoother and easier for those that follow with regard to the planning. Okay. And so with that being said, I'll give you a little bit of information or familiarize you with our process, we utilize a three-step strategy for estate planning. And what we mean by that is, first, we develop the plan with counseling-oriented planning partners, and those with financial advisors. We make sure we are complementing the plan that the financial planners have put in place. And then we want to maintain the plan. So commit yourself and your family to a formal maintenance and education program. That's where we're at today, so that when something happens, we can secure appropriate assistance to transfer your wisdom along with the rest of your wealth. The traditional planning approach is, it's like going to the dentist, right? It's like clients will come into the office, they want to get through the process as quickly as possible. It's kind of like ripping off the Band-Aid. There's very little counseling, little follow through. And then from the law firm's perspective is, once we get those documents in place, let's go find the next client. And there's a lot of things that will change, and there's no maintenance. Okay, so 20, 30 years pass on, and then people think that something that was done 20, 30 years ago, the legal documents will actually work. And that's just not reality. I'll tell you right now, the laws are going to change. Okay, they're going to change, and so when they're going to change, we don't know. But I do know I have a meeting, annual client meeting every year, and we'll tell you what they did, and we'll make sure we adjust as Congress makes their decisions. So that's the key. And then also your lives are changing, right? And then your financial situation or picture could be changing. So the plan just needs to be fluid. It's not something that's a static deal. That's what we're at right now, so that when something does happen, it is a smooth transfer process. So that's basically, the bottom line with regards to it. So most people come in, when we were doing this program originally, we would focus on the wealth transfer training, okay? And the wealth transfer training deals with things that you might typically be thinking about. And this is the first step of the wealth transfer training, transferring assets, transferring the wealth from one person to the next. And today we're going to go over the 911 information that you need to know. But we do have, I call them nuts and bolts series. Nuts and bolts 2 is death settlement, successor trustee training. That's the deeper dive into someone's died, and now here are the steps that we will follow with regard to that. We've got that on our website. It's posted, and I do a new program on that issue about every 2 to 3 years that gets posted. And just like we're here today, you're able to attend a live webinar and also listen to the video afterwards. And then also part of that is, and this is becoming a bigger and bigger issue, is on the disability side, right? If there's a healthcare issue, a stroke, dementia, long-term care issues, what's on that side that you need to know. So there's just a focused program just dealing with that as well, again, on the website, done every few years to keep it updated and relevant. And then the final one is really for the beneficiaries on, hey, if we've got something to protect here, what's the best way legally to maximize that, support that, and we'll show you what we have available on that side. So that's the typical wealth transfer training. And then the wealth reception planning is really for the receivers of the wealth, what they need to be thinking about, and then supporting those beneficiaries. It's available if necessary. So here's the 911 information. So, when the death occurs, at that point in time, that's all the studies show there's the shock sets in, and there's not a lot of information that can be retained at that time. So if we're trying to put that information or give you this education at that time, we're behind the ball, okay? And so the things that you just need to remember during that time are 4 things, okay? So know the law firm name and contact info. So we'll give you, we'll have that today, and we'll make sure you're very clear on that. And then remember, there's a process, and the process produces predictable results. So stick to it. So we've done this before, okay? We've done about 50 administrations, okay? And our goal is not to go through probate, make it a smooth transfer. And so as long as the beneficiaries, the helpers know, hey, there's a process, your role is just to follow the process, everything's going to be fine with regard to that. And then give you an idea of the type of issues you'll have to deal with. And then also encourage your interest in the planning participation, so that you're not caught off guard. You know the issues, you know what your role is, you know what to do. And that's really what you need to know from today. And we're going to kind of unwind that. So the 911 info is, you call the law firm. Our phone number is here. We've got a website. I'll go through that a little bit later. And you want to locate the client family organizer. And we're calling it, we used to call it the operator's manual. It looks like this. It's a little white binder. We're making that digital, okay? So finally, we're getting to the point where next year we'll have a digital version of it. So that'll be on the portal. And also then locate the red book. The red book is where all the legal documents are. So the white book, so that you understand, is not where the trust or will, medical directives are. The white book is really how to run the plan. There are checklists and the like that we'll talk about today, healthcare checklists, final arrangements, some things that are practical that you're actually working the plan. The red book is the legal documents, okay? And the red book looks like this. It's about a 2-inch binder. And again, we're gonna have those available to be digital as well. And so the idea is that we don't want you to be scrambling to find it if you need it, but you need to know kind of our terminology with regard to that. And then relax. Remember, there's a dependable process, and just follow it. And so here's the goal. So we want to prepare you all for the family education program. So this is the best way to do it. First is technology, right? So especially during this year, we realize the value of technology, and we're able to provide education even though we can't see each other. I mean, we can see each other, but actually be in the same room. And so what we want to do is make sure that whatever is going on in the world, we still are on track with what we do, and we're adjusting as necessary. And technology plays a very big role. So you need to be comfortable with our technology. I'll unwind that today. And then you just need to know the essential elements for a plan that works. And then I'll tell you how you can assist us in helping support the plan, and also invite you to participate in the planning as well. So understanding the technology is key. And so we've got a website, we've got a portal, we've got webinars, and we're using Zoom video teleconferences. So let's take that one at a time. So our website is at www.insightlaw.net or insightlaw.com. And let me go and take you there. Okay, so insightlaw.net, I'm going to go to the home screen first. And I really got to thank our client advisory board, who, if you've been with us for a while, our website at the beginning, we're getting better. Obviously, we're always trying to make it better. We've got more to go, but I think we're on the right track. And so one of the suggestions was, hey, just make it really easy for the helpers and beneficiaries to find where they need to go. And so there's a little tab at the top right of the website that says Info for Client Helpers and Beneficiaries. You click that. And guess what? If there's the older programs that we've done on the training, the wealth transfer training, the death settlement, all of those videos are over here in the required training and the info for beneficiaries and trust helpers, okay? We have a portal as well. And so let me get you comfortable with the portal. Make sure I don't go to anything where... Nope, I don't want to jump ahead of the portal. I'm not going to take you to the portal first. But so with regard to the website, the idea here is what all these tabs are for. So there's a portal. I'll get into that. There's fillable client documents here. So in the fillable client documents, these are things that we've asked our clients to complete. There's no client specific here. It's all blank. But these are items like healthcare checklist, final arrangements, as well, letters of instruction to guardians and minors, special stuff lists. So these are all blank. So if you ever wanted to update those, or if you haven't completed them yet, those are available on the website. Accessing DocuBank. So I'm going to spend some time here on accessing DocuBank because this is for the healthcare helpers. And this is DocuBank stores medical directives. So the healthcare helpers, If you don't, typically you don't have, or you're not carrying around your medical directives with you at all times. And so a medical directive is a legal document designating a healthcare agent to make decisions for you when you can't communicate to the doctor. And so the first thing you got to do is you got to find those healthcare, those directives if you're called on. And so DocuBank is a resource that we have where the directives are accessible 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And so as long as they understand the process with regard to it, your emergency contacts will be also notified as well. And so I find people sometimes people get confused, but if you actually read the page, or not with regard to our clients, but maybe the healthcare providers, when you get your DocuBank card, and the DocuBank card looks a little bit like this, and on the card has some information with regard to it. But if they just want to view the documents with actually logging into the account, then you can do that, and all the information is on this card, okay? And so you just need to have the card, or there's ways that you can just get a PDF of the card. I'll show you, okay, if you don't have that. And so you click here, and then they'll ask you, do you want to print the directives or fax the directives? Oh, well, let's print them, okay? And then do we also want to send alerts to the emergency contacts if the member is enrolled, right? I don't want to scare my emergency contacts today, but we'll just go ahead and print them. And then it's going to ask you a member number. It's right on the card. Okay, I've done this enough times where it's already pre-filled for me. I've got a PIN number right on the card. And then whoever is requesting it will go ahead and put their information in. So DocuBank wants to know who's requesting it. And you just hit submit. That's about it. Okay, and so once you do that, what happens is that you've got, hold on. Did I not do it right? I think my computer, hold on. 351. Okay, let me see if I can. I'm having a little bit of problems today on this, but I just did it before the program. And so it should be able to upload. Let me go back. And let me do the full member login first. And so for the full member login, the only difference between the full member login is you need to know the personal password. And the key with the personal password, typically it's your zip code at the beginning. You can always change it, okay? And so when you log into that, then what happens is you can go to a section where it says print the card, like I told you about, that has all the information, or you can print the documents. So at that point, I could just view or print the documents. And then it goes right there. My documents are there. Okay. While I'm here, this is not a good place to be. Let me show you medical snapshot and medication list. So for those of you who are on different types of medication, or if there's a long-term care issue and that someone needs to know how the dosage, the frequency, there's a demonstration video on the website here for it. I'll walk you through our slides a little bit, but you can add the medications right here. So your helpers are not scrambling to find out what your medication is, dosage, frequency, etc. Also, medical snapshot, who your doctors are, your conditions, if you had surgeries. So it just makes a lot of the problems with the healthcare issues is that there's a lot of noise and people are confused. They don't know where to find things. So with just a little ounce of prevention here, a little ability to provide this, that goes a long way for the helpers. Okay, so take advantage of that. If you see, I think that there's a lot of value with regard to that. Let me try to go back through again and see how we do that without having to. I'm going to go through that same deal that I did before. Make sure that I'll type this in so I don't have to. Well, I'm gonna have to call document because I'm having some issues with this, but we'll correct that issue. But you saw the process with regard to that. Okay, so that's document. The video library has all of the video information, all the videos that I've done through the past. I'm not going to go through them, but the idea is when we do the programs, we want to put them on the website. There's different areas, different issues with regard to that. I'll interview resource partners and the like. So a lot of good information is on the video library, and I've definitely cut down the videos. There's some deeper dives like the death settlement, the disability settlement, that are about an hour to 2 hours long. But the most of them are shorter now. Okay, 5 to 10 minutes. I realized, hey, don't put up too much information, just enough so that it's relevant and very applicable for the clients. We do business planning, so information for business clients. The funding information, that's just funding instructions. You can make a payment, you can give us feedback and suggestions, and then you can also refer a friend. Okay, so that's the website, and those are some of the key features with regard to it. Let me go back to the program. Okay, so again, the website provides registering for client events, latest news, blogs, contact information, client area. The DocuBank features are as follows. And so when you log into the DocuBank, this is the medication side of it. So you can click on the medication list, you can add medications, you can enter the name, the dosage, frequency, and then you continue the medications until your list is complete. If you want to remove a medication, you just click the trash can or click on the pencil to edit it, and you can log in at any time to edit your list. Your virtual chart is basically creating a virtual chart detailing all your medical providers, conditions, and history in one place. And also quickly access contact information for providers and detailed notes. And then also a timeline of medical changes, major procedures, and other critical information. So that history is very valuable during difficult times. And then alert providers to allergies and other risk factors to consider. Okay, so the technology support, now the portal. Okay, so the portal on our side, it's our the action step portal. That is where we have your documents and then information how we can communicate securely. And so it's online updating of your key reports, can serve as online storage of your documents, an option to provide that as well to your helpers and beneficiaries. So to get to the portal, it's the same area, and then there's actually an action step portal. That's the one that we use. And so all you do is just type in your username, that's your email, and then you create your own password. And then you log in. Oops. I typed my username wrong. Hope I get this one right. I'm not a robot. Okay, and then you get into your portal. And you go to the document section, documents tab. And so here you'll have at our annual client meeting, we have handouts and documents for the annual client meeting that'll be in January and February this year. The annual renewal, your annual renewal packages are uploaded to the portal. The client update program documents, that's where we actually update the legal documents. That's in the summer timeframe, fall timeframe. And then the actual estate planning documents will be on the portal. Not everyone, we're working on that now, that transition. And then funding issues, past client update programs, and past renewals. There's also a tab for messages. If you want to shoot us a message through the portal, we'll get notified of it as well. So very, very big deal on the portal side. It really made the difference this year during all of this craziness that we're enduring. And so to me, is a great way to keep the plan supported and not have to be subject to what's going out there in the world. So the other side of it is the teleconferences. We also will do, we don't charge additional for phone calls. And the way that we do it is we schedule phone appointments. So when you call into the office, we'll schedule a phone appointment. You'll get schedules within 48 hours. Obviously, if there is a emergency or an issue, you're going to get bumped up. But usually, typically, from the funding side, those are great, and also on settlement. So when there's a death settlement, we will have an initial settlement call, and we will schedule calls throughout the process that just at various milestones, so that we can conclude the administration, and that has been working really well. And we've been doing a lot of the teleconferences through the Zoom video as well. Okay, so that's the technology side for the law firm. I think we're really on the right track with regard to the technology. Now let's just make sure that you understand the key elements that need to be mastered for a plan that works. And I'm a bullet point person. So if you understand these, then your plan's going to work. And so the first one is an estate planning review worksheet. It's an executive summary of your plan. I'll hit that. You need to know what an asset review report is. You need to know when to seek additional counseling and understand the plan personalization options that are out there, and also have trust protector support. Okay, so what does all this mean? The estate planning review worksheet is an executive summary of the plan, and your client organizer, it's about 10 to 12 pages long. It's in the family organizer, and it's in tab 3, and it's used to review the plan and provide implementation. So I'll show you a sample of the the estate planning review worksheet. And so there's nothing, and it's an easy way for us to update the instructions for the plan. And you'll see trustees, who are my trustees, who's my disability panel, if I have any specific distributions, my beneficiaries. So if you want to make changes, right, it's an easy way to communicate with a law firm. You make the changes on this sheet, send it, upload it to your portal, and as part of our deal, we don't charge additional for amendments, word processing amendments, and we turn those around within 30 days. Every 2 years on the clock, we will send you the client update we will invite you to the client update program, and that's where you actually update the legal documents. Every 2 years, we will definitely we will update your legal documents. And so that's a great report to utilize. The other report that we have is called an asset review report. Okay, and the asset review report looks like this. The asset review report is just kind of an inventory of the assets, and it is itemized by bank accounts, investment accounts, stocks, personal effects, and a check mark by the side of it means that we've got the asset titled correctly, so that there's not going to be probate. It's going to meet with regard to our client's goals. And so a check mark means everything's in good shape. And if you sold something, we tell clients, cross that out. If there's new values, go ahead and put the new values in. And then if there's not a check mark, I need to ask why, right? And so those are the issues. If there's not a check mark by it, there needs to be an issue. There's an issue there. And if there's an X, that means they're not able to be, they're not supposed to be titled. In Virginia, cars don't need to be funded. In most states, we don't have to put them into the trust. And so those are laid out. An asterisk means that it was done, but it's been titled, by another firm, and we verified that it was done properly. And so the asset review report is a powerful tool, because if something happens to our clients, there's a death that occurs, I'm not playing Sherlock Holmes to go find everything, right? I hit a button, I know who to contact, I know where the people are, and it really supports the plan. And so also from a situation where if there's a long-term care illness, there's something called, there's Medicaid out there that could be an available benefit for people if their assets are at certain levels. So if we're able to see how things look, we can say, hey, we may need to be planning for some Medicaid planning. So it's a great way for us to be able to utilize it. And so our goal is to get 100% of the assets funded. And so let me see on that sheet that we had, the here, right, we're not doing well. We got 63.6% of the assets funded. So the idea is we want to get 100% that are able to be funded. And what happens at that point is that Ginny Oliver, our funding coordinator, is going to send you a funding complete letter saying, congratulations, your trust is fully funded. And here are all of the verifications that we have received. So if you're not fully funded, that's one of the things that we're going to ask is that the helpers or just ask about if it's been funded. As far as going into the details on accounts, that's a client-specific issue. But from our side of it is, we can't care more about the plan than you all. And so if we're asking you for things, it means that we need them. And so be responsive and help Ginny help you, because her job is to put everything into the trust. But if you're not responding, how can we do that? And so you got to help us with the things that we're asking you to do with regard to that. Okay. Okay. And then, and I know people are asking questions. I will jump in and answer those at specific points. So good question. So with regard to that. And then the asset review report is essential elements. So that's the asset review report that we have. Well, let me address one question. Somebody asked, how is DocuBank the same or different from Everplans? So Everplans is a great resource that has all of your documents on the Everplans, the legal documents. I'm not aware of, and if someone could type this in the chat, I'm not sure that Everplans has the card. And so the key with the card is that ties you to it's like carrying your medical directives in your back pocket. And so I always tell my clients, sandwich this DocuBank card between your driver's license and your health insurance card. And so if you get into an accident, go to the hospital, right? They want to know, number one, who you are and if you can pay. And this card, they find this card, they say, okay, these are the directives are here. They could log in and get those directives and download them. I'm not aware if you do have the same feature for Everplans with regard to the card, then great. All I care about is that someone knows where to access those directives and they get it. And that's the key that I'm trying to get across for that point. Okay, so they said Everplans does not have a card. So that's the basic difference with regard to that. Same documents that are there. Also, DocuBank will, if you check that box, and I will confirm with them that your emergency contacts that you listed, they'll be notified as well, so that they know to go. Like your first emergency contact will be notified to know, hey, mom or dad is in the hospital now. We got to go. Okay. This is a harder issue to kind of get our clients to get and the helpers to get their arms around, but I think it's really a critical component and really makes a difference, especially in a catastrophic illness situation. And so this is know when to seek additional counseling. And the idea of this is most people don't think to notify the law firm, because most of it is that people think it's just legal. But if there's an issue, like a healthcare issue, and so if we are notified early in the game, there's more things that we can do to be proactive, and we have resources and contacts that we can provide you to help the plan, and we're building it as well. And so there's a couple, you just need to know the terminology and what we're doing on that end. And one is we offer family meetings now, and so as part of the initial planning, we have a family meeting, an optional family meeting built into the original setup of the plan where, okay, hey, when we get the plan set up, if you want to bring in the family or any key people, we'll go over the plan as high level or as detailed as you want with whoever you want, okay? And we still would offer that with regard to our clients. It's just a flat fee of $500 if you want us to convene that family meeting and go through those issues. The other item is other type of support or time for understanding the additional counseling is we also offer a personal counseling review. Hey, we may have a Medicaid issue, or a long-term care issues. Let's come in and talk about this. This is where we have bigger issues. It's not just, hey, a word processing amendment where we're changing names. we need to think through something. And so that's at your option, at the client's option to do it. And, and so that's something as well that's available for you. An advanced PCR, personal counseling review, is if there's an advanced planning issue. Maybe you have a tax issue or an asset protection issue. These are things more on an advanced planning type of issue. And then a family counseling review session is really more, the difference between that and the family meeting is if we do want, if there is something like, hey, there is a disability that we're dealing with, we can't come into the office and do the updates as well anymore. And with the digital technology, if any of you have gone through the client update program this year, we had implemented also a digital version because we are digital notaries. So we're getting closer and better at it. But the idea is, hey, if mom or dad cannot come in to sign the documents, or if there's an issue with regard to signing the documents, how does that change our process? And what we call it is a special delivery system. And so you need to understand that process as well. And now, again, the special delivery system, we're doing a video that'll be up on our website to do it, but it's really where you're not able to physically attend or maybe cannot sign the documents anymore. What's the process now to get things updated if they overhaul the tax laws or they want to make a change to the plan? And then the family thinking section is also, could be called by the client or by the law firm. And so for the client situation, one of the times we were called in for a family thinking session, and this is a difficult issue to deal with, is maybe our client should not be driving the car anymore, right? And taking away the car keys is a very big deal. And that may be something where having the structured environment of the law firm and bringing everyone together and just laying out the steps and the issues, it helps kind of defray that issue. And we've done this before as far as going through it. Difficult issue to deal with, but that's one that we would say. And then on the settlement side, if people are not really following our process and going on and doing or going off the plan, then maybe we will call the family thinking the session and say, look, this is what we do. This is how the process works with regard to it. And so it's our side of it is we're trying to make the plan work smoothly. Another good handout that we have, well, it's not a handout that, and so that, yeah, this is the handout that you all will have, is here's kind of a little checklist on knowing to seek additional counseling issues. So maybe child was born into the family, or a beneficiary received a diagnosis for receiving government benefits, finances, planning on making a loan to a family member, making a large gift. I need a helper on my bank account as clients get older, maybe making sure that the next person in line is already on the account. I'm concerned I can't pay for long-term care. I'm moving. So this is a nice little kind of overview. It's not all the issues, but this is something that we're seeing more and more, and we're building on it. Okay, and so our point is, it's not you're not alone, and if we can at least understand what the issue is, then we can help you. But if we're not even in the game, then we can't help with regard to that. Let me see. There's another document that I have. Okay. Proactive elder law program. So this is dealing with the distinction, I guess you could say, about estate planning versus elder law. And so estate planning traditionally is really focused on dealing with the assets of the client and transferring assets efficiently, smoothly, getting them to the right people. Elder law is more about just focusing on the needs of the older person. And so some common elder law issues are, hey, if there's solo care for a spouse, right? So if one spouse is ill, what are those issues for the healthy spouse? What do they need to be thinking about? support for living with a disabled spouse or alone, help remembering to pay the bills, elder abuse scams. These are becoming more and more. We face, there was an Apple Pay phone card scam where the people would be calling or going online, taking people's information. And so there's a lot of things that are out there, change in living arrangements, discharge from a facility, driving like we talked about. These are the more of the elder law issues. And so our goal, and what we've done in response for that, is we're building a proactive elder law program, if that is something that is relevant to your situation. And the idea is to prepare the helpers. There may be plans for physical limitations in aging, and then mental limitations, financial limitations, and navigating the healthcare system, right? It's getting more and more difficult navigating the healthcare system. You really need to have a patient advocate and understanding what the issues are. We're trying to align ourselves with healthcare advocates and patient advocates that are more familiar with those issues. They're few and far between, but we're trying to build up that Rolodex for you. And so it's all about quality of life. And a lot of times, if you just ignore the issue, the issue will just basically mushroom and get worse, rather than, hey, let's be proactive, let's address the issues and knock them out one at a time. And so these things on preparing ahead of time, the kind of the special delivery side and the disability settlement security system. The family asset protection program is when we need to go on Medicaid. And so we have a process to get you qualified for that. It's very technical. There's a lot of different rules with regard to that. We're not going to go through that today. But the proactive preparation approach, which you need to know is, hey, one thing is just making sure that you have some personalized instructions and checklists. And some of the key checklists that we ask our clients to complete when we do the original plan is the healthcare checklist. So the medical directive is a legal document designating your healthcare agent to make decisions for you. Okay, now what, right? How aggressive do we want treatment? How long? And those issues. And so there's no bright line with regard to it. And the healthcare checklist that we have provide to the clients, the idea behind that is to start a conversation, because no legal document can predict every situation. But I'd rather that you have a good conversation, and we also have a great legal document to support that. But if you never had that conversation before, then it's really difficult to make those decisions with regard to that. For example, if you do have a long-term care illness and dementia, how long do you want to stay at home? Is there a point where you don't want to burden the family or not? Or do you have the resources to take care, to have home care issues? Another one, and I think this is a good question to kind of get you thinking about, what a healthcare agent could be poised with. I mean, a question that could be posed in front of a healthcare agent, because everyone just thinks it's the pull the plug issue, but it's not necessarily have to be that. And so this question I like, or this is one of the questions at one of our conferences that one of our attorneys had gone through. And so consider this hypothetical scenario. How your answer will inform your helpers, how you wish to be treated in the case they need to make medical decisions on your behalf. So you're outside the operating room and the doctor comes out and says, I can help your loved one. So this is the healthcare agent listening to the doctor. There are one of two procedures I can use. The first procedure was developed at Johns Hopkins 2 years ago, and I trained in this procedure 4 months ago. I know how to do it and it works. Your loved one will be as good as they were before it happened. However, if I use this new procedure, you need to know that 20% of the people die. Second choice is, on the other hand, I've been using a more conservative procedure for the last 10 years. I've never lost a patient. I do not know nationwide anybody else has died from this procedure. However, people who have this more conservative procedure are always severely disabled afterwards. What do you want me to do? So the issue is, how aggressively do you want to be treated? What do you consider to be disabled in the story? So those are not bright lines. And this is where the conversation can go a long way with regard to those issues. And then if you're in a crisis, what impact will the medical crisis you've described have on you? What types of support will you need? Will it be social, emotional, spiritual? And for those of you, do you have any religious or spiritual beliefs which affect your end of life decision making? We want to make sure that those are captured as well. And then what outcome do you hope to have in the medical crisis? And so my goal is that there's information, education, and that people aren't guessing so much, and that we have, as we've done as much as we can on our side to prepare the helpers in that situation. The other one is there's a lot of resources for, the long-term care issue is a big deal. And so one of the resources that we have, and in our main website, if you go to the resource tabs, there is a helpful sites area. And if you click on the helpful sites, there is, one of the leading experts in the area of the elder care issues is David Solie. And so David Solie has his own website, and he has, you can see from this side of it, what struggles with our aging parents over even the most trivial matters. And so is it caregiver support, aging alone, declining health? There's different things that's all that he's focused on, and on the education on that. I find his resources very helpful as well. So that's David Solie materials. And then the DocuBank webinar, we've done our own DocuBank webinar. It's on our website, that's there. And then resource partner presentations. So I'm interviewing more people now. I've interviewed Family Tie as one of our resource partners, Peggy Brita. She is someone who knows a lot of the assisted living facility areas, at least in the Washington metropolitan area. She knows the management, which ones are better, which ones are most suitable for you. So if you're looking for assisted living facility options, she's a great resource. I'm looking to interview a healthcare patient advocate, put that on there as well. Just different types of resource partners where they're the experts on that, but we can connect you with them. We've vetted them, and you can do your own due diligence with regard to it. So try to ask them the questions that you may be asking, so you can get a first run before you call them on those issues. Okay, so the special delivery system, we're going to do, like I said, we're going to do a video on that. And that's basically, if you cannot make it into the office, how are we able to provide the legal support in that situation. The disability settlement security system, that is when you're not able to effectively manage your financial affairs. So this has nothing to do with making healthcare decisions. So what we've done is we create this what we call as a disability panel. And the disability panel, like I said, are not healthcare agents. They are just the people that the clients trust to answer this one question, is, do I have the ability to effectively manage my financial affairs? Okay, and the way I look at the disability side, and these are critical issues to deal with, is when am I disabled? If I am disabled, how I define it, who do I trust to manage the assets at that point, and what can they use the money for? All right, so the when, who, and when. So the when is, if there's an issue, someone needs to reach out to us so we can convene that disability panel to answer that question as, do you have the ability to effectively manage the financial affairs? And we have a medical component and a family component. And then if that is triggered, then we have a process to orderly transfer the assets to the next person in line, or the next person is the one to be able to manage the checkbooks. And then what can they use the money for? And then Family Asset Protection Program is about that Medicaid issue. And so what we've developed as part, the longer and longer that we go through, and we kind of see the plans evolving, we just realize all the services that we're providing to the clients. And all these services are not applicable to all clients. It's just, these are things that I believe a good estate planning firm need to be offering. And you need to understand, what we're thinking about. So the way we look at it is, there's ways that you enter in the process, okay? And so next gen planning is more the younger clients, and some of our clients have asked us to do plans for their kids. our classic, our typical clients are what we call the three-step strategy clients. If there is a Medicaid issue and you're coming in with a Medicaid issue right from the beginning, that's what I mean with the proactive elder law. And if you have an advanced planning issue, you've got estate tax issues we need to deal with. And so that's how you're entering the process different ways. And then the financial integration formula is actually making sure that your assets are coordinated with your instructions so that there is a smooth transition. That's the asset review report, the funding, the titling of the assets, making sure things are there. And then the continuous commitment compact is really our InSight law maintenance program. That's where you're at today, and that's what our typical maintenance is. So let's say a client needs to go and plan for Medicaid, then they may go on to the proactive elder law program. But you don't have, it doesn't necessarily have to be that way if that's not an issue with regard to that. And then we got to go through a specific issue to deal with when we're trying to get people to get qualified, maybe for government assistance. And so those are very technical programs, and there's a different track for that. The settlement security system is when someone passes away, that's our process that we follow to just get the family through and move the assets over to the right people. And then in a married couple situation, we have a survivor support program. And this little arrow is if you don't want to recycle the inheritance, you just want outright distributions, there you go, you go on out. But the survivor support program is taking care of the needs of the surviving spouse. Those are going to be different than typical married couples. And then after the surviving spouse passes away in those situations, if there is a surviving spouse, then the settlement program. So we have an enhanced settlement program if there are concerns that we need to have provide some education to the beneficiaries before they receive their inheritance, or if there's no need for that. Then we have what's called an empowered inheritance program where, hey, if they have something to protect in a protective trust, how can they help support it? And basically a protective trust is an asset protection trust for the beneficiary where it's really hard for creditors to get into, not accountable assets for Medicaid. So very powerful if they understand that. And that's what our nuts and bolts 4 program is about, is how to maximize your inheritance if you've got something there. And so that's really all the services that we see ourselves providing now. And I think it's really, I think we're definitely on the right track with regard to it. Okay. Okay, so this is when we're going back to the essential elements of a plan that works. If you remembered, we start out with just know the instructions, right? That's the estate planning review worksheets, the cliff notes of all of your plan instructions. Know where the assets are. That's the asset review report. We're way ahead of most people right there, okay? And then let's take it to that next level, is know when to seek additional counseling and know those issues that are not as black and white, and the healthcare issues, helping with the checklist and the like, knowing when to seek additional help. And then the trust protector is just a concept you need to be aware of. And so I didn't go into too much detail of what a trust is. So let me back up for people who don't know what a trust is. A trust is basically a contract, and a contract that we're stacking the deck in our client's favor, building the contingency plan of, if there is a disability or death, I don't want to deal with court, I don't want my family to deal with that. My assets are all centralized in one place. Here's the game plan. And here are the people that I trust managing my assets during those difficult, during those times. And typically there's 3 parties to this contract. There's the trust maker, the one creating the trust. There is the trustee, the one managing the trust. And then there's the beneficiary, the one receiving the benefit of the trust. The trust protector is this 4th party that's kind of sitting on the sidelines, and they're really there to be able to help update the plan, make the plan fluid in situations. And 2 typical ones are if the client is disabled or after the client passes away. So let's say, for example, client has a stroke and cannot manage their financial affairs, and I can't communicate with the client, and all the tax laws have been overhauled, and we got to put some tax provisions in to change it from what was happening before, right? Client can't sign. The trust protector can come in to sign that document to put those updated tax provisions in. So the trust protector is someone who cannot change beneficiaries, can't change your instructions, but could put things in that will update with regard to tax laws, creditor provisions, and the like. And so it's a way to keep the plan fluid, even if you can't sign, and even after you passed away. So very powerful. And typically the trust protector who can serve, they can't be related to you. They should have a strong understanding of the law and of the trust. Don't know who that would be. Typically it's the law firm, right? But the only way we can know the intent is, what we do is we document your intent, and every year at our annual client meeting, we send out a memorandum of intent to the clients as part of that. And the intent are typically is it my intent is to minimize taxes. My intent is to maximize creditor protection. My intent is to preserve government benefits, right? So everything is really all the things that we want in your plan, if necessary, for changed circumstances. All right, so that's the essential elements of the plan that works. The next is, we're requesting your assistance in helping the plan creator's legacy. And what do I mean by that is there's some kind of nuts and bolts support items that helpers can provide to help us. Is what I mean by that is the ARR support, the asset review report support. You can just ask, hey, is everything fully funded in the plan? And the idea here is that we need your help. If everything isn't fully funded, that I'm trying to get everyone to see the importance of that, because if everything isn't titled properly, then we do have the exposure to go through the probate or court process. And I'm not going through, this is not a discussion about what probate is, but basically probate is a government audit of your affairs after you die. When you die, if you have to go through probate, then family has to go through probate. You got to inventory everything, accountings, track the income. That's fine if you want them to deal with that, but that's typically, if you did the trust, that's one of the reasons why we did it, is we don't want the family to go through court. Now, there's going to be an administration, but at least we're not on the government schedule with regard to that. And then the healthcare checklist support. So see if the healthcare checklists have been completed. If they're not, then they need to be completed, or at least have the discussion. The idea is, if you're a healthcare agent and don't know what don't know DocuBank, don't know where the medical directives are, or don't know what the wishes are of the plan creator, then there's a gap there. And my goal is to make sure that there is information and communication with the clients. And then the last one is the non-material wealth legacy support. This is my favorite one. And we all focus on the material wealth, but what about your non-material wealth? And George Washington, in Mount Vernon, Virginia, his will is in the Fairfax County Courthouse. And I actually printed out one of the provisions of the will. And I've said this phrase before, this sentence before, but George Washington, I think he was way ahead of his time with regard to being an estate planner. And this is really dealing with personal effects, right? And so I'll read this one to you. And so one of the personal effects that he left in his will was, to each of my nephews, William Augustine Washington, George Steptoe Washington, Bushrod Washington, and Samuel Washington, I give one of the swords or couteaus of which I may die possessed, and they are to choose in the order in which they are named. These swords are accompanied with an injunction not to unsheathe them for the purpose of shedding blood, except it be for self-defense or in the defense of their country and its rights. And in the latter case, to keep them unsheathed and prefer falling with them in their hands to the relinquishment thereof. I always get tingles, right, saying that one. Man, you really knew how to leave a gift. And the point of that is, when you leave a gift to somebody, maybe the personal effects, one of the best gifts you ever had is there was a little note that was along with it. And the idea with this non-material wealth is, if there are different areas that you could do this. With personal effects, I showed you here, like what did that personal effect mean to you? And so what we're trying to do on that side is, there are ways you can do it. In the client organizer, there's a tab 8, but the purposeful trust is more of a kind of an advanced level, where we can actually weave in your voice in different non-material wealth aspects into the plan. Priceless conversations are these Sunbridge exercises. These little there's different conversations and audios that I could do with you through Zoom. Even now, I've been doing them on different topics, things like Meaning of money, right? Questions like, what was the best investment I ever made? Worst investment I ever made? Your faith, the meaning of success, your business. And so, for me, I really would have wanted this. My dad passed away, and he passed away after a long bout with a rare form of Parkinson's called Lewy body disease. It causes dementia. And it was at the point in time when I graduated law school, and we were just getting to be that point in time where we were kind of equals, rather than the kind of the father-son type of deal where just telling me stuff. And it would have been really nice if I had a letter from him or an audio, different crossroads in his life, getting married, some of the issues to be thinking about, starting a business, different crossroads where things may be not working out. One of the exercises is called message in a bottle. I really like that one. Is visualize your beneficiary walking on the beach, and the waves are crashing in, and they're at their lowest point in life. Maybe some negative thing has happened, and then a bottle comes with a message in it, and it's from mom or dad, or someone that really they care about, and it kind of makes a difference. So that's something that is near and dear to my heart. Not a lot of people take advantage of that, but I just think that's a really good thing to do. That it's not only about the material wealth, it's about that non-material wealth. Okay, and so so now with regard to that, so this is part of our process is you're here today, right? And so nuts and bolts, I want you to, if you're a plan helper, and also the clients, come every 5 years to this program, because things change. And if you remember that parking lot syndrome, you'll forget things as well. And so as part of our process, there's a reduced settlement fee as long as people have come to these programs, because if you don't, then you don't know our process, and usually you're fighting everything, okay? And so we don't charge hourly. So a lot of times the beneficiaries like, be quick with it, because we don't want to we're not nickel and diming our clients, okay? Our goal is to create plans that work. We have a specific process to get through the settlements and administrations. And so, and you never will be charged anything unless you know exactly what's in advance with regard to that. And then I also want to know, if you've actually attended. And so I started doing an open book quiz with regard to it. I'll show you, a very easy quiz. It's just knowing that you had actually attended today with regard to it. But typically, in a typical plan, here are the dangers in a typical estate plan is, and I see it all the time, not with our clients, but there's no updating, right? So the documents become outdated. You get these documents that are 10, 20 years old, and things are constantly changing in the law, okay? And again, they're going to change in a few, maybe yet next year, maybe in a few years, but things are changing, as you probably can realize that. Also, titling of the asset. So, just because we got everything in the trust up and running when we set up the plan, am I that naive to think that you're never going to buy or sell anything? So we have to, you have ongoing funding support where if you buy new assets, and we're going to help you title those properly right up front. And usually if they're not updating, people are not titling it the right way, and that risks exposure to go through the probate. And then there's also unknown costs and process upon death. Because there hasn't been any updating when something, that death occurs. Okay, let's figure out where things are at. Let's educate everybody. It takes a long, it's more of a prolonged process where it doesn't need to be. And so here are some things that we found that reduce costs in the estate planning world. So if you remember our 3-step strategy, first set up the plan, maintaining the plan so that when something happens, we can transfer your wisdom, help you, secure appropriate assistance for you and your family to transfer your wisdom along with the rest of your wealth. So things you can do to reduce costs in the estate planning administration side is full funding. So I talked a little bit about that. I don't have my little trust box here, but full funding, I'm sorry, as an estate planning attorney, this is the terminology that we use. And if you can tell me a better term for it, great. That's what's used in the public. But funding means titling your assets properly, either in the trust or making it payable to the trust through a beneficiary designation. And so, like I told you before, if just one asset is not titled properly, those assets are exposed to the probate process. So full funding is the key. It's an all or nothing type of deal. And then, and so, you know, when we get that call, if we get the death call, the death settlement call, you know, the either the helpers or the spouse want, you know, they want to hear, or our normal script is, you know, everything is in good order. You know, find the final arrangements. We've got a copy here. Be with the family when you're ready to come in for the initial settlement meeting. We'll be here for you, right? We're going to make sure that we're there whenever when you're ready to do that. What they don't want to hear is everything's in pretty good order. We think we got everything titled right, right? So that's not a good answer. It's not really going to fly for them. And so that's the idea. The standard is very high. And I set the standard high for the funding department because we want a written verification. So you might say to us, yeah, it's been done. That doesn't help me when you're dead, okay? And so we need a verification in the file. Sorry, I'm blunt. And then the proactive trustee and beneficiary training is you're here, right? So that you know who we are, our process, how to get to the website, our resources. This is a big first step. And then if you're dealing with an issue, there are deeper dives that we have available and that we're building on as well. We have a proactive engagement approach where we say, hey, if you're on our maintenance plan, your successors can hire us. We can't ethically bind them to do that, but we'll be at that point the cheapest people on the block because we know where everything is at. We know where the family, and we've got that. So they have to hire us at that time. And so I'm not going to go through all of our the fee discussion, but basically our three-step approach is there's a setup, there's a maintenance and education, and then there's an after-death administration fee. And so just understanding that we've got this process here, it's not something that we just pulled out of the air. And this is something that we've been vetting through the national network for years with regard to it. And it works, okay? So, you know, after doing approximately 50 administrations, we know it works. And so we've got that process in place. Okay. And the point of it is, you know, people think, hey, we've got everything in place. There's nothing to be done when there's a death. And this is something important for the helpers and the families to understand, is that the red book that we have that I was talking about with all the legal documents is not a magic book, right? And people kind of chuckle when I say it. When you die, it doesn't jump off the shelf, sprout arms and legs, right? Inventory the assets, value it, track all the income, transfer it. You know, that's not reality, okay? People do the work. The families are doing the work. The law firms doing the work. So it's just not reality with regard to it. But a lot of people think, hey, I got a trust. There's nothing to be done on death. It's a major life event. I can't explain it any other way. All of your relationships have to be wound up. So just think about how many online accounts that you have, okay? And how many usernames and passwords. Where do all those go? What if you have a domain, right? And so one of the services that we're implementing and integrating, it's not the point of this program here, but it is directive communications systems, and that's a service provider that we have connected with regard to all the online accounts. They don't have your usernames and passwords. They are a digital executor service that will transfer anything that you tell them, or shut down accounts, delete accounts. And so that is a really powerful process with regard to that. Okay, and so bottom line, you know, from our side, it's really just our mission in the firm is that we want the plan to work, and we, you know, and we want to work with people, and we care, and we want to work with people who care as well. And it's obvious that, you know, we appreciate that you're here today to help support the planning, because this is really, you know, what makes the difference with regard to understanding the process in our system. All right, here's the bonus topic with regard to the taxes. The current tax laws that are in place, the 2017 Tax Cuts Jobs Act was passed, and the the way that it was passed is that they did not have the votes in Congress, and so they had to use the Budget Reconciliation Act to pass the Tax Cuts Jobs Act that reduced or rolled back some of the taxes. And what that means is that if you don't have the votes, it's got to sunset in 10 years. And so on January 1 of 2026, all of those tax cuts that had occurred are going to sunset automatically, right? You're going to go back. We're going to go back to the old tax laws and some of the things you need to, unless Congress acts sooner. All right. And so these are some of the things that we're hearing with the new administration. They don't want to wait till 2026. And I'm not making any political commentary either way. I'm just telling you what the law is today. And so this is what we're hearing about the law going forward. And these are tax experts and the like, congressional experts. And one of the things that you need to be aware of with regard to the estate planning, estate tax. Okay, this is not an income tax, it's the estate tax. And remember my IRS supermarket story. Basically, everyone has a coupon, a federal coupon right now. I'm not going to get into estate tax issues, but everyone has a federal estate tax coupon of $11.58 million. It's as high as it's ever been, okay? And what happened with the Tax Cuts Jobs Act is that it was doubled. They said, we're doubling the coupon from 5 million to 10 million. And you have an 11.58 million number because it's indexed from inflation, for inflation. And so in 2021, it's supposed to go up to $11.7 million. And then it's set to expire, and it's going to go back down to the 5 million indexed for inflation automatically on January 1, 2026. And we think that that inflation number is going to land around 6 million at that time, if that's the number that, if it goes to that level. So that's one of the things. So the new administration is saying we don't want to wait till 2026. And if depending on how the Senate race goes, and the trend is, and maybe by the midterm election, the trend is that that there is there could be a lowering of that coupon before that. And so we're busy with a lot of with the high net worth clients. We're dealing with, hey, we don't know if this coupon is going to stay around for long. Are there strategies that we can employ? Yes, you can do some strategies before the end of the year to lock in the higher exemptions. We don't think that anything's going to happen in 2021 because of, although it's a very slim majority in the Senate, but if the Republicans retain the Senate, they're going to do everything that they can to stop that. And so it's very close, as everyone probably knows. But what we're hearing is that's probably not going to happen next year. Okay, can't say anything about the year after that. And then maybe even 3 million. Talks have been saying even lowering it back to 3 million. Again, we're living in a different age, and so there's a lot of we're running at a deficit, and so someone's going to have to pay that bill, and so we're just trying to fit. And you just got to be aware of that. The other issue is the basis step up. And so what I mean by this is when someone passes away, from the tax side of it is, let's say you bought a stock for $10, okay? And then let's say that you never sold that stock. Well, what happens if that stock is $100 when you pass away and you own it? The IRS gives you this is one of the best kind of tax benefits, and unfortunately you have to die for it, is that your beneficiaries will get a stepped up basis on that stock. They're not going to take your $10 cost basis, they're going to take the $100 cost basis of the fair market value as the date of death. So if they sold that stock the next day after you passed away, there'd be a zero capital gain with regard to that. And so there's talks about that. We think it would be difficult to implement, because think about the records that we would have to find if there's no step up. So people pass away, if there's stocks that were bought many years ago and the basis hasn't been tracked, how are we going to find all of that? So it's going to be hard to implement that, but that is there are talks about that. Tax brackets being rolled back to the roll back the reduced tax brackets. If you recall, the highest tax bracket was at 39.6%. I think we're at 37% now. So those could be rolled back. And then capping the tax benefit of itemized deductions to 28% for taxpayers with more than 400,000 of income is being thrown around. If for those of you that have that are owners of a passive ownership, like the companies like S corporations or LLCs, there's something called a 199A deduction. Definitely your accountants know about that. That is set to expire in January of 2026, if not sooner. It's a really big benefit for companies that are not corporations. You get a 20% tax benefit. Okay, that's really what I wanted to cover today. Are there any questions? Let me go through the types. Let me go through the chat box and see if I didn't hit everybody's questions with regard to today's program. I think I've got. I'll stick around, or I'll keep this on for. I'll definitely make sure I'm on for a few minutes if you want to type on your questions, if you do have any. But I'm gonna, while we're doing that, I'm gonna go through kind of the wrap up. So for the quiz, your quiz questions to make sure that you were here is, and this is what I would want you to put on your client survey, is, or you could just email Michelle. I'll show you her email address at the next line. What does the DocuBank card store? And as you know, the DocuBank card stores the medical directives. I'll make sure that they get that quirk that was squared away. And then number two, I'm giving you the answer, so I'm a terrible professor, right? And then what should be one of the first things you do on the legal end when a loved one passes away? And so, you know, the things that you should be thinking about is find the red book, find the white book, or if they're digital at the time, locate them and call the law firm. And so, you know, we've got the process in place. So, you know, any of those will do. If you call the law firm, that's fine as well. So the next steps for our helpers and receivers are participate in the planning discussion now. Being proactive is always better. If you are a helper, forward your email address to Michelle's email as M like Mary, T like Tom @insightlaw.net, and then watch your emails for, you know, further nuts and bolts programs. Our family education program, we'll do them, you know, we do them live, those different programs, like I said at the beginning, and then I put them on. And if you can't make the live one, I do put them on the website so that you can see them, you could review them later. Then let me go through the, if you have the PowerPoint, you can print them out. If you have the hard binder, you can put them behind tab 4. And then the client survey is here. And then, so there's two ways you can do the client survey, and hopefully I do this right. You can do the client survey by printing out this form, and I'll go through the questions. Or before I go through the questions, we have a Survey Monkey that I'll put in the chat, and you can just go online and do the survey there. See if I can do this one. So this Survey Monkey, if you go to that link, then you can do it right on the survey, and you can just do it online and just click the ones, but it's basically the same thing here. First is, what is your email? I just want to make sure we have the latest and greatest email for you, and that we're not sending things to the wrong email. What is your role in regard to the estate plan we are creating? Are you a trust maker, creator, or are you a helper, right? So that we know who you are and what your role is. And then, have you visited our website? And then let us know what you liked about the program. I always talk about what's the positive first. Suggestions on how the program can be improved. We're always listening to our clients. It's important. And then, what issues did we not address that you would like to see addressed in future programs? So again, we do listen. We want to make sure that we're on the right track, that we're supporting the plans, and that we give you practical information. And then Priceless Conversations is that non-material wealth. If you are interested in that, you know, there is a small fee associated with that, but again, it is really nominal as far as the point of it is I just like to have those audios and maybe videos or handwritten items as well. And then, and if you have any friends or families that you would like to refer to the firm, that's always appreciated as well. So with that being said, I think it's been about an hour and a half. And then, oh, yeah, it is not a, you're right, it's not a Survey Monkey, it is a Google Forms. And so I got a question from somebody that, do you have, and so I don't have this, I guess it is Google Forms, I apologize for that. But yeah, that's what we use for this. Maybe if the better tech people can tell me if Survey Monkey is better, but we thought this was a very easy thing to utilize with the Google Forms. But again, you know, we're always listening for that. Good question. Oh, it was just a login question. Okay, so that, yeah, that should be hopefully fine for everybody if you can do that. If not, you can always print out the client survey and just go ahead and email it to us. You can put your answers on the quiz here on the survey or just email it to Michelle. With that being said, I'll stick around for about 2 more minutes and then I will conclude. And thank you everybody for being here. I know this is really a different time that we're living in. And so from our side of it is, I really, you know, you can't see this because because you're not here on the front lines with us over here, but our team, you really have a great team here. Ginny Oliver, our funding coordinator, she's really working hard to get everything in place for everybody. Wendy Masimer, our associate attorney, really cares about everyone's planning and is really working hard to get everything drafted and structured right. She's also our settlement coordinator. Michelle Tice is our client services coordinator. She's our point of contact. She does a great job of coordinating my calendar, making sure that we get back to everybody and do all the follow-ups. We've got 2 new additions that I'm really excited about. We've got Steve Hirsch. He is an assistant funding coordinator, and he's going to be helping Ginny and supporting that. We've also got Dan Blankenship. He's also an admin support position right now. And so we're really working on, making this plan work for you. And so the idea is that, we're continuing to work, and whether it's going to be, remotely in the office, we are monitoring, we're also with regard to social distancing and observing all of those formalities. What we've been doing with clients for executing documents and getting things in place is we have I'm a digital notary now, Ginny Oliver is a digital notary now, and there's ways we can do things digitally. Some clients will do curbside signing of documents or social distance documents. So we adjust, right? And so the technology is really being really important now because we're able to keep the plan updated and supported even with all of these obstacles in our way. So we're on the right track. I want to thank our team. I want to thank you all for being here. It really means a lot. And with that said, another question. We have a question. Oh, no, it wasn't a question. It was just the answers for the quiz. I got that. All right. With that being said, everyone, have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy this Saturday, and take care. This has been Bobby Fazy, president of InSight Law. This has been the Family Education Program Overview.